Allie is in Canada. She has a fitness center and a martial arts center that they've had and invested their careers in for a decade plus, and they finally got reopened after COVID, and now there's noise that they may be closed down again. She's trying to figure out how to navigate this ridiculous world that we live in and keep her business alive, and her heart's breaking a little bit because her old career's been poured into this. Is that a fair summary of what you told me so far?
Yeah, super fair.
Yeah. Well, I share your frustration. I've gone past the point. I have made a commitment to God to be kind to people who I don't agree with on these issues, and it's been very hard because some of these people are absolutely misbehaving. The way they're treating each other, the number of times I've been screeched at for not wearing a mask by some idiot in a store, the number of times that I go into a business and the business abuses me as a customer. I'm tired of it. I'm really getting weary. The number of times that the government of Canada or the government of the United States or the state of Tennessee or the city of Nashville is denying our freedom to operate when the data is now in on this thing, it has gotten out of hand. So I share your frustration. I'm getting angry enough. I'm getting ready to start a freaking crusade against these people. But it's gotten out of hand. They got the amount of totalitarianism where the governments are just walking in and wholesale shutting down our freaking lives and taking them from us has gotten out of hand. And
yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. So I'm with you, but I don't know how to help you because they're going to do it. It looks like. And so you and I are faced with, when they do that stuff, with trying to abide by their ridiculous decisions, and they are ridiculous based on the data that's in, or go to jail, And, of course, half our customers are cuckoo for coconuts. And so, and the other half are mad at the other half. And so it's just, it's weird. It's just a weird thing to navigate. So I think the problem we're facing is the same thing we faced when there was violence in some of the major cities, and the major cities were shut down in America over the racial issues, that in an unpredictable environment, business cannot exist. When we cannot predict order, and the only thing we can predict is chaos, then business can't function, and it shuts down the economics of the situation. And it affects more lives than the violence affects or than COVID affects. A lot more lives in a lot more negative ways. So I think that you just have, what we're doing is we're just having to navigate, and we're staying right on the bleeding cutting edge of what is allowed and pushing the boundaries on what is allowed. And if I'm in your shoes, that's what I'm doing. But the problem is you still are not going to be able to, if they come in and just say all gyms are shut down, then you're just straight up going to jail if you open up again. So you've got to turn around then and try to find online ways to deliver, Zoom workouts or some kind of a digital curriculum delivery of some kind, where you still use your passion for people's fitness, and you still use your knowledge base, but you're just delivering it in a different way. And we'll just pray God that it's a temporary thing, that you have to do that for the rest of our lives, these governments are not going, we know they're not going to meddle at this level, because there's going to be a freaking revolution if they continue to do this, because people have had it. It's not going to go on a lot longer. I mean, most people are not sheep, and they're just not going to do it a lot longer. So I don't know what the boiling point will be on this, but I don't predict a decade of it. I can tell you that we don't have workout facilities, and we don't have gyms, and we don't have martial arts for a decade. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think it's part too, Allie, that you guys have already done that. You've shifted, you said, to work for an online company, but I'm like, where are the things that you have to get creative, right? I mean, like even part of our business was just turned upside down with live events. And so now we're having to get creative of what that looks like, of how to do events. Like it's just, it takes a different part of your brain. My kids were part of this like little sports class thing that's in our area, and it's so sweet and great, but they had to shut down due to COVID, but then they ended up starting this whole new department of it.
Let's reiterate that. They had to shut down because of government regulations, not because of COVID.
I'm sorry. Okay, well.
Because the health departments are over the top, lost their dadgum minds. That's why.
It's the Dave Ramsey Show. Yes, correct me. But what I'm saying is though that and then all of our schools got shut down this spring, but then they created a whole like recess department where the coaches would come to neighborhoods where these pods were of homeschooled kids now and like have recess and they would charge for this session. So like just the creative ways that companies who have been shut down through government regulations because of COVID-19, that you're just getting you have to get creative. I'm like, it's the only way to make money, or just or completely having to ditch the industry and just get a job that's there, which sucks. Like I don't want you to do that, Allie, but
the way we've gone at it is in our business is this: we've had entire segments of the business that just disappeared. Live events is 98% gone. Okay, and we used to do 60 or 80 of these things a year. And so I've got an entire department of people that don't have a job. I've had to redeploy them inside the business otherwise so that I didn't have to fire them because of it. And so we lost that. So what can we do? Well, we can do live streams of events and put them out there. They don't make any revenue to amount to anything, but we're doing them. I mean, we're making a little bit of money, but more than anything, we're just helping people, which we figured out a long time ago if we can do that. So, we're pivoting on that, but we're not pivoting on that with the idea that live events will never come back.
Okay.
We're pivoting on that with the idea that for now, I have to tolerate this crap. And my customers won't come, and I got venues that are, the health department and 62 policemen with tactical gear will come in and bust us because we're all within 6 feet of each other or some kind of crap like that. And so, it's just ridiculous. And so I've got to tolerate this for a while and do something different for a while. And that's what you've got to do. So what you do need to ascertain is if you really start to believe, and this is Henry Cloud's book, Necessary Endings, anytime you're in a career, you're in a business, you're in a situation where you start to believe that you have lost hope that it will ever return. And this isn't being hysterical or emotional. It's with critical thinking skills, you're looking at the landscape. I don't think this is ever going to go back. Let me give you an example of that, okay? Blockbuster should have pivoted permanently because they should have lost hope that people weren't going to rent VHS tapes from them. They didn't. And so they went broke because they didn't pivot. And Netflix pivoted.
Well, Netflix went from mailing DVDs to now an online
but it was
streaming.
It was essentially the same business.
Yeah.
But one didn't lose hope and one did. And so they changed permanently who they are. And now Netflix is a major operation because of that, and Blockbusters is a memory. So you've got to look at that and say, permanently, what have I got to change that the landscape is permanently changed? How much of this COVID landscape do you believe is permanent? And, I don't believe it's permanent because I think it's, it's not, 20% of the population did not die. 2 million people did not die. One thing we do know is that you don't have to learn much about math to get a medical degree. We have figured that out, that medical people don't do math well. That's a permanent thing that I now know that I didn't know before this. And so, we do have a lot of data on this to look at it and to use some dadgum common sense. God, that aggravates me because the problem is lives all over America are like hers are being turned upside down on this, and it's got to stop. This hysteria has got to stop. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.